lovely good morning. It is yet another Thursday morning, and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. I'm your usual host, Patrick Soko, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by Marco Kozi, and together we'll be with you up to the hour of 9. Good morning, Kozi.
Good morning. It's good to be here, Patrick. It's a little bit chilly today. Yesterday was a little bit warmer. Today is a little bit chilly. We are looking forward for a very great interaction with our viewers, and we hope to have a very interactive program.
Interesting. Miriam Kaimba, when she seated there where you are seated, she calls it a positive month, and that everything has to be positive in whatever you are doing. Are you also being positive and optimistic?
Yes, we really have to be positive, regardless of what happened yesterday and the Copper Queens being booted out. I think there are some positives that we must learn going to the World Cup. How should we prepare ourselves and stuff like that. So it's a positive, man.
I'll be asking you tough questions on the Copper Queens, but for now we have to start with the off corner. Let's see what Dr. Mofaya has prepared for us.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Mofaya. So this week we are talking about polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a syndrome that occurs in women, and it affects a lot of women, and so many people have it and they don't even know that they have this condition. So we discussed what is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and we say that it's a condition where a woman would have irregular menses or not having menses at all, and also they might have hyperandrogenism, which is excess production of the male hormones. And it comes about because of insulin resistance most of the times, and sometimes it might even be a genetic condition where somebody has inherited a gene that predisposes them to have this condition. So we also discussed the symptoms, and we say that it's caused by some of the symptoms are that apart from the irregular menses, they might also have facial hairs, and they may also have a falling out of hair from their head. So today I want to discuss how is it diagnosed and treated in the hospital. Now, for the diagnosis, usually they would have to do several tests in the hospital to check exactly if you have other conditions that also cause irregular menses. So there are so many other conditions that can cause you to have irregular menses, and so some tests will be done to make sure that you don't have any of those other conditions. And they may also do a thyroid test, because usually the thyroid can also affect your menses. So they would need to know how your thyroid is functioning and also how other parts of the body are functioning. Then to make sure that to see if you have cysts or not, you would need to do an ultrasound, which will be able to show that you have cysts in the ovaries. And so if you have 20 or more cysts in the ovaries, then that's when you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So usually patients with polycystic ovarian syndrome, like we have said, they have an excess of the male hormones. So they would need to check your hormone profile as well to see what type of hormones are common in your body, or what is your body producing. Is it producing more of the male hormones or the female hormones, and in what quantities? So how is it treated? So usually treatment for people with polycystic ovarian syndrome is that you need to change your lifestyle. So you need to be able to adhere to healthy lifestyle. So what that means is that you need to be exercising. For people who are obese, usually are the ones that have insulin resistance. So people who are obese or even just overweight are the ones who usually have polycystic ovarian syndrome because of their increased insulin resistance in their body. And so you need to exercise, you need to lose weight, these are some of the treatment options that are there, so that you can be able to reduce on the insulin resistance. The other thing is that you need to watch your diet, what you eat, how much you eat, and also eating healthy food, that is increasing your fiber intake and also eating more vegetables and fruits in your diet, and reducing on the amount of fat that you're eating in your diet. So these are some of the lifestyle modifications that need to be done for people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. The other thing is that you can be given some medications. Most of the times, these are oral contraceptives that can be given to patients who have irregular menses, to be able to regulate their menstrual cycles so that they can have menses or periods every month. There are other medications as well that can be used for people who have problems with getting pregnant. So people who have irregular menses can have problems with trying to get pregnant and have a child. And so if you're trying to have a child and you are having these irregular menses, you might be given some medications to help you regulate your cycles and to also help you conceive. So the other treatment options that can be given to those that have polycystic ovarian syndrome, medications that help to reduce the amount of androgens. So androgens are the male hormones. So they'll give you some medications that help to reduce the amount of these hormones in the body so that you don't have the symptoms of hyperandrogenism, of having facial hairs and having hair loss in the head. So those are some of the treatment options that are there for people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. I do hope you have learned something today, and don't forget that you need to be able to live a healthy lifestyle. You need to be able to take care of yourself. Whether you have polycystic ovarian syndrome or not, you still need to be able to adhere to a healthy lifestyle. So make sure you exercise, make sure you eat healthy, and make sure that you lose weight if you are overweight. So thank you for watching. Make sure you watch tomorrow again when we'll be talking about the complications of people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome. Thank you for watching and stay blessed.
Well, there you have it. That was the Off Corner with Dr. Nakuyana Mufaya. And we'll go straight into understanding how the Kwacha is performing this morning. Let's have a look at how the Kwacha, are we making some progress, or we are still on a decline perspective there. Let's just have a look at the money market right about now. So the Greater British Pound is buying at 23 kwacha 65 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 12 ngwe, and the euro is buying at 20 kwacha 26 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 66 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 04 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 06 ngwe. 1 US dollar is buying at 18 kwacha 31 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 67 ngwe. So those are your money market updated this morning, 27th of July 2023 at 0720. Now if we have a look at the kwacha against the 1 US dollar, there's been some marginal appreciation in that. Now you can see that they are both on the 18 in terms of the buying and the selling part, because we had gone to the 19 kwacha mark, and you see that there's a bit of progress in terms of how the kwacha is performing. So I think that's a good indicator. And as we are heading towards the monthly review of the fuel pump price, we have to be optimistic, because the 31st of March should be on Monday, and the ERB will be doing what they do best, and that's inform us over our how the fuel pump price will be trading at for the coming month, and we just hope that it will remain the same, or probably the kwacha can continue to make some gains so that we can even have a reduction. But we can only hope for now, but we see how the economic fundamentals continue to pan out. As I always say, it is always dependent on both internal and external indicators. That's why our kwacha performs like that. So most of the times it always depends on how much dollar do we have, and if we are having more dollars in our economy by way of imports, it means it translates into better fortunes for us as a country in our kwacha stabilizing. So we can only hope for the best in terms of our kwacha stability, because at the end of the day we all need a strong economy, an economy that is resilient, that would enable us at individual, at company, at organization, association level, at government level, be able to have a good a comparative advantage in terms of us trading, or those of especially our friends who are involved in cross-border trading. They always are optimistic in that they always look out for the for these factors that are such as the kwacha, because at the end of the day, if you have a stronger currency when you're going to South Africa to get your goods, it is beneficial. And if the kwacha is doing fine, those in the business circles, they are usually happy, and that also translates into them being able to sell the merchandise cheaply to us, the consumers. So sure. At the end of the day, if you look at it, Kozi, it's something that we always have to look at critically and seriously in terms of the economy, because the currency plays just that important role.
Sure. So as you have quite rightly put it, the people that are doing cross-border trading, the stability of kwacha really helps, because nobody wants to go to a foreign country today when the kwacha is at 18, and by the time they're coming back in a week's time, the kwacha is at 19. It means that you make a loss as regards what you went to buy at that time when you left, because you had made a budget on a certain. So I think we really need to see a stable currency to really help and bring commodities, prices of commodities and services, I think, down.
Interesting. Now let's have a look of some of the stories that are making the headlines. I'll start with a story where some refugees in a named location in Lusaka have bemoaned the poor living conditions, accusing of authorities of neglect. The refugees are claimed to be living in unsanitary conditions with sewer effluent, food shortages, and delays in dispatching medicine for the sick. The aggrieved refugees say efforts to engage authorities under the Commission for Refugees have proved futile, and a check by Camnet News at the house of the undisclosed location in Lusaka learned that the refugees are staying up to 9 in a room, including children and the sick as well. Meanwhile, Mumbwaye Nyambe of the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace, CCGP, has bemoaned the living conditions of the refugees, calling it a violation of human rights. But when contacted for a comment, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security Commissioner for Refugees was not available to give us their side of the story. So let's get to listen to this. We'll be back shortly.
So this situation here in refugee is worse than the war which we escaped from there.
Lamentations, a search for peace gone badly. He is a refugee from the Democratic Republic of Congo, brought into the country by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to Maheba refugee camp in Zambia's northwestern province. Now in poor health, he is in Lusaka, at this location that has been withheld to seek medical attention at the University Teaching Hospital, UTH.
The UNHCR leadership here, there are extortions They do coming out here to intimidating us and to threaten, to taking provisions and so forth. That's what we have experienced. So for you, we call the media so that people, they may aware why we are living here as refugees here. We are in misery.
Life is unbearable due to poor living conditions, food and medicine shortages. His wife and children are nowhere to be found.
Three children and my wife, they have escaped because suffering.
Because of no food.
No food.
His colleague from Somalia is sleeping in this room with his family. In total, 5, including children.
I'm 33 years refugees without life. Now, even we fear now this report we are giving you because might be another problem. Now we need Zambian government to take action for us. That's what the main things. We have seen the life we live. We can't work. We are sick people here. Now we need the help from Zambian government. That's the main things. Yes, you are seeing the situation we live. We no need even to explain.
In this room, 9 people, a couple with children. The man cannot speak to the camera as he's afraid of authorities. This reporter was told by his colleague, whom he confided in a foreign language. The living conditions of the refugees here has concerned the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace, CCJP.
It's not good, it's not fair. And think they won't even lose 1,000 kwacha, it's less than that, to come and clear these things. We are requesting through the PS, who is in charge of the Ministry of Home Affairs, to come and to the rescue of these individuals. Yes, they are refugees, but when you are refugees, it doesn't mean that you don't have rights. They have the right to health. So let's respect this right to health as well as to clean environment. They are refugees. Me, I'm a Zambian, even if I surface my country, I don't feel that pain. But somebody who comes from another country, don't have a relative, you don't have a friend, it's very hectic.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Commission for Refugees was not available to comment on the situation. This is yet another chilly reminder of human suffering. Conflicts on the African continent continue to bleed. Many countries, even the peaceful ones, such as Zambia, though in a position to help, have their own struggles. For now, these refugees can only wait for help. When it will come, only time will tell. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula.
Well, there you have it. That's a story there regarding persons of concern, and I hope you managed to see for yourselves there how these people are living. I think their conditions of living leave much to be desired.
Seriously so. It is very, very unfortunate to see people live in such inhuman conditions. We saw that they are living in a small place, put together with children and everybody, sewer affluent flowing in the same area, and these are people that have run away from various difficulties in their countries. They thought they could find a better place to live here, and for them to be in that condition, I think as they have made their appeal, they want government to come in, because they feel that the authorities that are supposed to be looking at them have neglected them. And you can see from what we've seen that the situation really could be that of neglect.
Yeah, indeed, the situation is bad. In case you want to give us your views, the phone lines are open. We can start discussing issues that we are bringing out, especially as we zoom the headlines. You can start giving us that call. Those of you watching us on our social media platforms, being Facebook or YouTube, we thank you and value for your viewership. And you can leave us that message. Tell us where you are watching us from, or as well you can tell us your contribution. You can also give us a hint of whatever is happening within your community, and we'll be glad to hear from you.
So let's quickly get into the next story, and this one comes from Parliament, and it says Parliament has rejected a motion to reintroduce the Ministry of Religious Affairs and National Guidance. Now, Petauka Central Member of Parliament, Emmanuel J. Banda, raised the motion to reintroduce the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. But acting leader of business in the House, who is also Minister of Defense, Ambrose Lufuma, said government does not support the reintroduction of the Ministry of Religious Affairs, saying the department already exists. Now, the motion was, however, settled through a vote which saw 79 members, mostly from the right, vote against the motion, while 49 members, mostly from the left, supported the motion. Let's look at this report.
26th of July 2023, it was tense in Parliament as Petauke Central Member of Parliament raised the motion to reintroduce the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. The mover of the motion contended that following the scrapping off of the ministry, the country has seen a rise in immorality, with ideas relating to same-sex marriages being allegedly given prominence among the vices of a secular economy. Members of Parliament from the left defended the motion, while those from the right debated against the motion. Point of orders and counterpoint of orders. The debates were characterized by point of orders and counterpoint of orders from members of the ruling party and those from the opposition, which were later halted to allow the smooth flow of the debate.
We can be more united as a nation. We can love one another in diversity easily. With Madam Speaker, there can be less corruption and we can create a better country. I wish to support the motion.
Speaker, I want to state on the onset that I oppose the motion that is on the floor of the House.
And Monze Central Member of Parliament, Jack Mumbu, said it was at a time when the Ministry of Religious Affairs was in place that the country witnessed atrocities against the people of Zambia. And it was at this point that some members of Parliament from the Opposition Patriotic Front and some independents walked out of Parliament in protest.
The Minister of Religious Affairs never spoke against that. What morality are you talking about? Madam Speaker, during the reign of PF, we witnessed...
Order, honorable members, let me give guidance.
I'm responding.
Order. The honorable minister is responding to the issues that were being raised by this side. He's just responding. May the honorable minister continue.
Yeah, you can go. You can go.
And acting leader of business in the House, who is also Minister of Defense, Ambrose Lufuma, said government does not support the introduction of the Ministry of Religious Affairs, saying the department already exists.
I wish to state from the onset that government does not support this motion. Madam Speaker, this position arises from the fact that the new Dawn United Party for National Development Administration, whilst in opposition, promised that it would streamline the operations of government through a lean but efficient and effective government.
And the Petauke Central lawmaker, Jay Banda, was also given an opportunity to wind up debate.
Madam Speaker, they have seen today who are the hypocrites, who can come here in this house and say, me, I'm a Christian, even during campaign, busy every day changing churches. That's why we don't see them after campaigns being in churches. But we leave it, I forgive them, we leave it in the name of the Creator.
The motion was however sorted through a vote, and 79 members, mostly from the right, voted against the motion, while 49 members of Parliament on the left supported the motion.
So they abstained 0. The yes 49, the no's 79. The no's have it. The question is negative.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
So thank you very much. That is what transpired in Parliament yesterday as regards the motion to reintroduce the Ministry of Religious Affairs and National Guidance. as the members of parliament were debating on that particular motion. So as Patrick said, you can get in touch with us on the numbers that are on screens and give us your thoughts on some of the topics that we are looking at this particular morning. Let's move on. The next story says Patriotic Front Chirubi Member of Parliament Mulenga Fube has charged that it is unprofessional for Inspector General of Police Grafael Musamba to insinuate that the PF recruited junkies into the service. Now, Mr. Fube tells Camnet News that it is an insult to the integrity of credible men and women in uniform who are professional in their conduct. He says he is, however, cognizant that there were bad eggs in the system, but that it is not right for the police chief to utter such a statement. The PF Member of Parliament says he does not feel protected by the police, given the perception that Mr. Masumba has said about the former ruling party. Let's have a look at this.
I think when you talk about recruitment is at different levels, sir. And I think when we talk about recruitment, we are not just talking about a corporal here or somebody coming from Lilai or Sondela or any other place, but we are talking about different ranks. Because if the PF elevated some of the police officers during their tenure, which was 10 years, and meaning that those were recruited to higher ranks. And recruitment, what recruitment means is that you are bringing in a person in a different job. Could be someone who was a corporal is elevated to sergeant and so forth. That's recruitment. So what the IG said was quite unfortunate, because he would have taken due diligence in looking at his statement and the weight that it has in the institution that is learning. And I think this also goes to different institutions that may get as excited as, that statement we saw. I think I would like just to caution that next time the IG may not sound that political, because we are even afraid that if the IG can sound that partisan, are we going to have good policing from his institution? Because it seems that the way he looks at PF in a very bad eye. And I think looking at that, we would like to be saved. We also need police services because it's a service, and I think we are also citizens.
Interesting story coming in from the Chiluri MP who was talking about who was complaining actually about the IG's comments as regards the police service recruiting, the Patriotic Front recruiting junkies in the police service. Let's move on. The next story says the Food Reserve Agency FRA has paid out 595,945,208 kwacha to farmers that delivered grade A white maize during the ongoing crop marketing season. Now the total quantity of maize purchased so far as of July 25th, 2023 is 146,948.50 metric tons. This is equivalent to 2,938,970 by 50 kilograms bags of white maize. Now, FRA Public Relations Coordinator John Chipandwe says the response from the farmers is encouraging and is encouraging other farmers across the FRA depots across the country to deliver their crops to the nearest FRA depots as they are made within the shortest period, as payments are made within the shortest period of time since the funds are available. Let's have a look at this.
The Food Reserve Agency has paid out 595 million 945,280 kwacha to farmers that delivered grade A white maize during this year's ongoing crop marketing season. The total quantity of maize purchased so far, as at 24th July 2023, is 146,948.50 metric tons. Now, this is equivalent to 2,938,970 by 50 kilogram bags of white maize. The agency so far has noted that the response from farmers is encouraging and is assuring other farmers across the country to deliver their crops to the nearest FRI depots, as payments are made within the shortest period since funds are available. Further, farmers are assured of accurate scales that have been certified by the Zambia Meteorology Agency. We also, as FRA, wish to remind farmers that as the harvesting season progresses, they should not sell all their produce, but only what is excess, and after putting aside a variety of food for domestic future consumption. This is due to the fact that national food security begins at household level. The excess harvest can thereafter be delivered to any nearest FRI depot, and the agency will buy the stock and keep in the national strategic food reserves for future use as a nation. This will facilitate national food security. Therefore, we are urging farmers to adhere to this guidance for the country to continue being food secure.
That's the other story that we were zooming in this morning. Talks about FRA and the maize that they have purchased, and encouraging other farmers to also supply their maize to the FRA, because their payments are on time, because they do have the funds available. Patrick.
Interesting. So those are some of the stories we are looking at. You too, our dear viewers, you can take a peek and get to give us your opinions on these stories we are zooming in. Later on, we are supposed to be joined by our guest on the program to discuss issues pertaining to fostering economic development amidst economic challenges, and our guest will be helping us to discuss that. And of course, we always depend on you, our dear viewers, wherever you may be watching us, in terms of you giving us your perspectives on these some of the stories that we are looking at, as well as our topic of discussion. Now, moving forward, let's also look at some of the stories that were coming from the court. Interesting stories there. We saw a story where former First Lady Esther Lungu was told the Economic and Financial Crimes Court that she acquired all her properties genuinely, contrary to assertions by the Director of Public Prosecutions that they were proceeds of crime. In an affidavit filed before court, Mrs. Lungu argues that the DPP is not an expert witness that is neither qualified as an auditor nor accountant to analyze a financial information and make conclusion to or lender opinion to her income on or expenditure. She has submitted that the property the DPP is seeking to seize are matrimonial properties and were developed by former President Edgar Lungu. She claims the accusations are another attempt by the state to label herself and her family as corrupt. This is in a matter where the Director of Public Prosecution has commenced the proceedings before the Economic and Financial Crimes Court, High Court Division, wanting the court to order the Lungu's property to be forfeited to the state. So let's look at this story.
The former First family has lamented before the Economic and Financial Crimes High Court Division that following the August 2021 general elections, it has been targeted by numerous law enforcement agencies and have been victim of false criminal activities. According to an affidavit of an interested party filed in opposition to notice of motion, Former First Lady Esther Lungu tells court that she genuinely acquired the properties that the state seeks to take possession of. In June 2023, the Director of Public Prosecution filed 4 notices of motion for an application of non-conviction-based forfeiture, order of tainted property pursuant to Order 30 Rules 15 and 17 of the High Court Rules, read together with Section 29 and 31 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act, number 19 of 2010. The proceedings that have been instituted by the DPP are seeking that the former First family forfeit their properties that the state is alleging to be proceeds of crime without being subjected to trial. However, in the latest submissions filed before court, the former First Lady has claimed to have acquired the properties genuinely contrary to allegations by the Director of Public Prosecutions that the same are proceeds of crime. Among the properties the DPP wants the family to forfeit to the state are the 15 flats that belong to the former First Lady. In 2022, the said 15 flats saw the former First Lady being summoned by the Drug Enforcement Commission. The former First Lady has further argued before court that the DPP is not an expert witness and is neither qualified as an auditor nor an accountant to analyze her financial information and make conclusion or render opinion to her income or expenditure. She has submitted that the property the DPP is seeking to seize are matrimonial properties and were developed by her husband, the former President Edgar Lungu. She claims the accusation by the DPP are another attempt by the state to label herself and her family as corrupt. She has further submitted that the state has failed to demonstrate with sufficient evidence that the properties in question are alleged proceeds of crime, as it has not produced any evidence which the court can reasonably point at that the said properties are proceeds of crime. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News. Former Kabushi Area Member of Parliament Boma Lusambo has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of corruptly acquiring property. Mr. Lusambo took his plea Wednesday morning, the 26th of July 2023, after Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili rejected his application to refer his case to the Lusaka High Court for constitutional determination. In a ruling delivered this morning, Magistrate Chiwili said he found no question which would warrant him to refer the case to the High Court. In the previous court session, Mr. Lusambo, through his lawyer Makebi Zulu, had made an application before court to refer the matter to the High Court. The application was based on whether the mitigation of spreading charges across different courts can afford fair trial in terms of Article 18 of the Constitution as read together with Section 135 of the Criminal Procedure Code, arguing that the new charges that the state have slapped Mr. Lusambo with ought to form part of the charges before Magistrate Friday Samaundu because they fall within the provision of Section 135 of the CPC because similar charges must be tried by the same court. The accused had expressed concern that he would be subjected to a piecemeal prosecution before different courts in a matter that falls under Section 135. The accused, who is already facing 10 similar charges of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime before a different court where he is jointly charged with his wife, argued that the new charges were supposed to be tried by the same court. However, in reply to his argument, Anti-Corruption Commission Senior Prosecutor Daniel Ngwira submitting that the new 2 corruption charges before Magistrate Chiwili will not in any way subject the accused to an unfair trial. The matter has been adjourned to the 20th of September 2023 for commencement of trial. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we were looking at some of the stories that were making the headlines in the Camnet main news, and interesting stories coming from the court. We had a story pertaining to the former First Lady, Madam Esther Lungu, regarding the issue pertaining to her properties, and we also had a story pertaining to the former Kabushi lawmaker, Boma Lusambo. Interesting stories there. In case you want to also give us your perspective on some of the stories we have zoomed in this far, you can do so. But now we've been joined in studio by our guest for the day. He is the Member of Parliament for Muchinga constituency, and he is Honorable Emmanuel Banda. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. I'm happy I'm here today to talk to the public.
Thank you very much for finding time to be with us in the studio. And to just get started, first of all, Honorable, we want to start, first of all, with the people of your area in Muchinga constituency. First of all, we have spoken to various members of parliament on this platform regarding the implementation of the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, and want to understand, is CDF still making sense in your constituency, Honorable?
Yes, CDF is making sense. It's a game changer, especially as who represent rural constituencies. We are very happy that we have got CDF, and a lot is happening. Yeah, a lot of things are happening, you know, things that never happened in the past. Because in the past, development was like only when you talk of urban areas, you know, town areas, maybe in a district, at the district level, where it's very urban, that's what we would know as development. But with the coming up of this CDF, rural areas now are yet to develop. We are going to develop rural areas because we are going to have better schools, we are going to have better clinics, we are going to have better roads, we are going to have better bridges, we are going to have our pupils sitting on desks, we are going to have our people empowered. So a lot of things are happening, and I can just confirm that really CDF is making a lot of sense.
Do you have any major milestone projects that you are undertaking for the 2022 and 2023 CDF?
Yeah, for the 2023, we have just aligned what we need to do. For the 2022, I can confirm that TLOB just landed last week. I'm here to go and commission it. I've got a number of school projects that we are doing. And also you can take note that under the previous government, they started a lot of projects which were not completed. Some of them were started as far back as in 2011, you know, 2012. And I've just taken a step forward that all these projects should be completed, and we have completed some, we are completing others, and also we have started new projects like school infrastructure, we have started clinics, you know, we are doing the roads, we are doing the bridges, yeah, a number of things.
Your constituency is predominantly a farming community. It is dominated by the farming community.
Yes.
I want to understand, first of all, pertaining to the maize buying price that was set by the government, which is 280 kwacha. First of all, how are the people of Muchinga receiving that? And others have also ever raised concern that the price of merry meal as a result of that is becoming too expensive. But how are you receiving these two information? The other one is good news. The other one is also a concern, especially pertaining to the price of maize.
Okay, for the price of maize, people are very happy. You know, maize production is costly. It's not cheap. Okay, and that's what people should always understand when we are making comparisons of these prices. Because you have to satisfy the producer, okay, for the consumer also to have the commodity in availability. So the producer in this case are the farmers. So once the maize price is set at 280, it's good for them, looking at the fact that they have to buy fertilizer. And like this year, you know, we had a very, you know, bad rain pattern. There was too much rain in some places and some droughts in some other places. So we don't have a lot of maize. Of course, when production is low, you know, the price should always go up, okay? And now coming to the price of merry meal. Okay, me, I understand. I've heard a lot of things about the prices of merry meal. Okay, I always take it that sometimes politicians tend to mislead the public, even when they know the truth. Because like the people who are making a lot of noise now are those who contributed to the problems that we have today, you see. And they know much better that if it was them who won, who are in power today, things wouldn't be where they are. Things would be worse than where we are today. Probably a bag of merry meal would be costing 350 to 400. And that's the fact, you know? Because at the time when they were there, with a lot of borrowed money, but the prices were still going up. You see what? And someone has just come in trying to normalize things, and then people are talking a lot, you know. When I say people are talking a lot, I don't mean the general public. Sometimes the general public understands things, but when they hear a politician talking, no, things are very bad, no, this and that, then they tend just to believe that, thinking that, yeah, really things have been made worse by this one, but it's not the case. Otherwise, the price of mealie meal, I know that the price of mealie meal will normalize, okay? The price of mealie meal will normalize, and not very long from now. Because, it's like we were in the HIPIC situation that we went through in 2001 when Wanawasa came in. Life was hard, but once HIPIC was completed, then things became okay. So we have been in this debt restructuring, negotiations. And now that it's done, we expect now the leadership is going to settle down and look at these things, how to normalize the certain prices of certain commodities, mealie meal being one of them. But just to say that immediately the president comes in, maybe 3 months, 1 year later, then immediately the prices will go down. It doesn't work like that. Because to set a tone, you start from, somewhere. And where someone has to start from, he has to look at what happened, what is it that I need to do. He has to put everything in place, strategies here and there. And these are the strategies that we are talking about, that one of them we have just achieved, the debt restructuring. So, of course, the minimum price wouldn't be at the same stage like if it was 170. It wouldn't be there, you see. Because there are some market forces. Those are things that makes prices change, Also, the population is growing. Demand is growing, you see. In Zambia, the demand of mealie meal is always going up because the population keeps on growing. Every day we have got at least some children who will start eating porridge. By the 3-4 months they will have changed to start eating isima, So all those things put together will see the price going down. And this has been the trend that from maybe 1991 when Chilowa came in, it was the issue of mealie meal. Okay, how much was the mealie meal then? But Chilowa came in, the mealie meal did not go down. Okay, it still continued rising. Wanawasa came in. Where he found it is not where he left it. May his soul rest in peace. I mean, by the time he was dying, the mealie meal price would have gone up than what he found. Again, Sata came in, or Rupia Banda. Where he found it is not where he left it. You see what? Again, Sata came in, it was the same trend. Edgar Lungu came in, it was the same trend. You see? So, it depends on the market forces at that particular time. And again, coupled with the inflation rate, Zambia's economy has been very bad of late. So, we wouldn't expect that minimum would just drop. Everyone was...
But others are arguing to say it is no wonder other governments had put subsidies to avoid people buying the staple food at exorbitant prices.
Look, how much was the mealie meal price, say, in November 2020? I mean, in July 2021. How much was it? It was somewhere 180 or so.
No, somewhere 130.
It was somewhere 130. Okay. At that time, 130 was a lot of money. You see my point again. So, if it was subsidized, but still people are complaining, then what was the effect of the subsidies? Because people still complained. And this is not to say that the current price is okay. No. For the current situation, my point is that the government is working on this thing to stabilize the mealie meal price. But if you say the mealie meal was subsidized then and it was a good price, but why then were people complaining? Because still people are complaining, you see.
Let's have a caller. We have a caller. Let's pick this call. Hello, you are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, and how are you, sir? Your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Another calling from Kalumbila.
Kalumbila. How is Kalumbila this morning?
Kalumbila is okay.
You can go ahead and give us your contribution, sir.
Yeah, I just want to give a comment on standards. Remarks were speaking about the new price of I want to find out what mechanism we are going to use to make the minimum and make the same commodity to be alive. So looking at the price of maize that is going to cost us $280 and the input cost, then making breakfast, which is the 25 kg, for them to make profit, how are they going to calculate? How are they going to do it so that the bag of meal in Malawi, because I don't see any reason as to why a mayor wants to buy a measure to elevate and tell us they want to make profit. Now, how are they going to manage that situation? What I want to find out, what mechanism are they going to put it so that the bag of meal will be cheaper than what we are buying? That's a 6 kg.
Okay, I think the question is clear. Thank you very much, sir, for your call. Mr. Banda, you can proceed. You were responding and he's asking a question to say, what can be done?
What can be done, of course, we all want to see that the minimum price comes down to a reasonable level where everyone is happy. But of course, even if the minimum price was to come at 150, 100, there are still some people who complain. But as government, I'm sure the mechanisms are there that they are going to put in place. You know, I will not just start saying, okay, they are going to do this, they are going to do this, they are going to do this. But I know what is going on the background, that the government is looking at how to stabilize the staple food. One, you know, the millers are doing business. They are private entities. It's a matter of government sitting down with those millers. And of course, I think such a thing is in the pipeline to understand why, for them to justify why the minimum price has gone up like that, you see. So once they put up their issues on the table, and then government will pick it up from there to say, okay, as government, we are going to do this so that you stabilize the minimum price. In short, it comes down. So it's a two-way thing.
The other argument, Honorable, for people is that people's wages have been stagnant while the things are getting expensive. So that undermines their buying power, in that, for example, their disposable income is reducing while the cost of commodities is increasing. And one major example is a mini meal. So now, how do people now afford? We are not talking about, for example, an average Zambian. We're talking about Zambians, especially in compounds. Zambians who stay, like, let's say, 5 to 10 people in a single household. And that does not only mean buying a single bag of mini meal for a month. It means buying a single bag of mini meal for 4 weeks. Now, what does that mean, especially for that family that is unable to raise enough incomes to be buying mini meal at that level? Now, we also understand that the duty of government is to make the lives of people easy. And now, we understand you mentioned quite a lot of progress under CDF. Now, what good is development if people are hungry?
Yeah, thank you for that question. You know, as you have put it, that the wages are stagnant. And you know, I will still take you a bit backwards. I did mention here, you know, okay, I'll give an example from myself. Okay, if my income per month is 100,000, okay, and then I support a family that consumes maybe 70,000, okay, and then I have got a credit where I'm supposed to pay 50,000 from my 100,000, meaning now I'll have less. Okay, now we are talking at national level. You see, because first we have to see why we have come to this point. Instead of just the problem, sometimes we just look at where we are. We don't look at where we are coming from, and that's when we know where we have to go and what we have to do. Because if today government just wakes up and say, okay, we are going to get money from all these other areas and put here so that the price of minimum is stabilized, of course, the minimum price will stabilize, but a lot of other areas will suffer. You see, so government is trying to balance up. Even the issue of salaries that you have talked about, I think it's just recently when you heard of some increments in terms of salaries for civil servants, you know. And again, we had people who could not even have a cent to buy food, those who were not employed. Government now, in its way of balancing things, had to employ certain people so that they are able also to get something. You see, they didn't say, okay, we are not going to employ, we are just going to increase salaries so that these people are able to buy. No, but they also looked at those who are supposed to start buying. And now this tells you a story that government is still coming up with mechanisms. The salary might be small today, but what happens tomorrow? You hear that, okay, government has increased. Moreover, it's just in November, October, when we'll be passing another budget for 2024, because everything has to be budgeted for. What we are consuming now, what we are seeing now, is what was budgeted for 2023, and the budget was passed in 2022. You understand my point? Okay. So at least if we are speaking today and it's maybe December, you would have been asking me questions like, what has happened, because the budget has been passed, but we haven't seen anything like maybe salaries will be increased or maybe there will be these changes. Okay. Because what we are going through today is what was planned for last year. And when we were planning this, we were still negotiating the debt restructuring. You see, we didn't know where money will come from. We didn't know if we will have money, because like the Honorable Minister for Finance explained that you are raising 100,000, and I mean 100 kwacha, and 97 kwacha or 90 kwacha of the 100 goes to pay what? Congole debt. And then you only remain with 3 kwacha. That was the situation in which we were, as we were preparing for the budget the budget cycle that is running now. You see, so people should expect to see good things in next year, because now the budget has got some space. You know, there are some fiscal spaces now where at least government can say, okay, now we are going to arrange this, we are going to arrange this. You see my point? So at least I understand your concern that salaries are stagnant. Of course, because what people are earning now was budgeted for at the time.
Coupled with a high unemployment levels.
If you talk of high unemployment levels, that's a phenomenon that this government is working on, and it has already shown that it is committed to reduce that one. Which other government employed the numbers like the way this government is doing? You see, and that's where Zambians. I'm a Zambian too. Please, let's see who is trying to do what. You see, people are not employed for a long time. If it is in teaching, you would go to school, graduate, come and sit, never knew that you even be employed. But now hope is there in all the youths that they will be employed one day. But government doesn't have the money that it can employ everyone at once. You see? Yes, slowly everyone will be employed.
I have a message here from J. Toka Samungole. He says the duty of government is to make things, to make life easy. No wonder they tax us highly. I want to come back to the issue of the minimum price. If you were given an opportunity, what advice would you give in order to see the price of minimum come down? I know you did mention that government is working on modalities, but if you were given that opportunity, what advice would you say? Let us do this and do this. That will work for the price of minimum.
You want the price of minimum to come down just today?
No. In the near future, what are we supposed to do? But before you get to that, we do have a caller on the line. Let's see if we can squeeze in this caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning, the panel.
Good morning, sir.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
I'm calling you from Chongwe.
Please go ahead and give us your contribution.
Yes, my contribution is directed to the member of parliament sitting there. I heard him say, just as soon as we invited him on the program, he mentioned that the cost of minimum is at what it is today, not entirely because of the bad government policies on agriculture and anything to do with agriculture. But then I would like to remind him on one point. Not too long ago, most of the farmers were grieving, and some of them even appeared on television complaining and making different, complaints, trying to direct them to the government to say, why are you giving us the fertilizer when the farming season is almost halfway done? And the same government has promised the farmers that they will ensure that farming inputs will be distributed accordingly and on time, which they never fulfilled. And how is it possible today that when people complain, the complaint is being shot back in the faces of the complainant? People are crying because the prices have gone up. It's not their fault. The government had tried to plan. So even in this coming farming season, the same thing can recur. And then the next year, when people start complaining, you say, no, people don't understand. Because what we are doing today, we are trying to balance up things. What's balancing? Yes, fine, the other people have been employed. But others are being fired just because they've been perceived to be connected to the previous regime, which is not fair. A lot of people have lost employment on the ground. Do a background check nicely and do your own investigation. You find out that a lot of people have lost employment in government parastatals and are being replaced by those that are connected to UPNC. That is my contribution this morning. Thank you.
Thank you
I'd
very
like,
much.
the Member of Parliament to respond.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate your contribution, Honourable Member. The issue of the price of mini meal and the issue of late delivery of farming inputs is affecting the farmers. The farmers were crying, and also people being fired. People perceived to have been loyal to the opposition, to the previous regime, being fired.
Okay, the issue of mini meal is the main topic here. And the issue of mini meal, I know that it cannot be sorted overnight, but I can just assure the listeners there that the government is listening. You know, it's not a government that you talk and then they will tell you to say go to hell. No. This is a government that when you talk, of course, they will not all of them come here and respond. You find maybe some of us with a chance to come and respond, but them are busy working there to see how best they can do this. Okay, he said that last year farmers were crying because of late delivery of imports.
Yes, and that affected the farming season.
Yes, we saw it, but this year already some districts have confirmed they are receiving, and I'm sure it's an ongoing exercise, you know, and this is just July. By the time we reach maybe November, everyone will have started or will have received. So that means there is an improvement. Government listened, and government is now doing what it thinks can also contribute to the lowering down of the staple foods price.
Honorable, there was also, yesterday we saw in Parliament, we had a motion where you as parliamentarians were debating a motion to reintroduce the Ministry of Religious Affairs and National Guidance. I want to find out what was your opinion pertaining to that motion?
Personally, my opinion was that we don't need that ministry. Because, you know, I indicated to debate, now I was not given an opportunity. I am one person who was flushed out of a church service, you see, by the PF. They followed me with a lot of police officers and a lot of cadres, flushed me out of church in my constituency, in a rural. And I'm just one of those who were treated like that, you know. We saw a lot of bad activities when we had the ministry.
But you were fresh out of church, Honorable. Don't you think if you are telling us that the UPND means well, don't you think the UPND would make sure that this ministry achieve works according to the expectations of the people?
No, it's not a ministry. What defines Christianity is how we behave, our values personally, not having a ministry, no. Okay? We can have a father in a home, but then the home is in disarray.
But if it's personal, why have we put it in our constitution so that it's a corrective effort?
Is it in the constitution, does it say that we need to have a ministry, or it says Zambia is a Christian nation?
It is a Christian nation, but you are portraying Christianity as an option, an opinion that we should not propel.
How?
You're saying it's about an individual, it's about yourself. So okay. Now I'm wondering, is it how it is?
Look, let's argue with facts here.
Yes.
Presenter. We had a Ministry of Religious Affairs. Didn't you see people being beaten during the National Day of Prayer? And what was the purpose of the ministry? Somebody to earn money just to create one job, or what?
So this argument I argue because I would say we have now a Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. small and medium enterprises are still not being taken care of. Does that mean we should scrap off the ministry, or it's work in progress?
How? Haven't you seen people receiving money?
Is it everyone who's receiving money?
Look, that's where we lose it. It's not like because you today you are
because
sitting
you
there.
The composition of a ministry in that context. So I'm trying to argue to say, but does that mean that all ministries, that's the way the purpose they exist?
No, look. Certain ministries are supposed to be very sensitive ministries. Like if you talk of the Ministry of Religious Affairs,
yes.
Okay. When the ministry was there, we saw a lot of bad activities, and the ministry never took any initiative to maybe reconcile the country. A lot of things were happening. I don't just understand how people would even want to support that motion or that thing. Me, I sit next to JJ, who was the move of the motion. He's my young brother, and we were talking there. I told him, my young brother, me, I'm not supporting this one. Okay, because of what used to happen when we had the ministry. What was the purpose of a ministry? If I may ask you, if the introduction of the ministry is to get the fruits, then the other question that I will give you is that what fruits did we get when we had the ministry? You see? I never saw any fruits coming I never saw anything that people benefited from that ministry. And today we want to bring it. What is it going to save? And yet it doesn't mean that when we don't have a ministry, Zambia was declared a Christian nation probably 1991 or so, or 92. But since then we didn't have Ministry of Religious Affairs. Until at a certain point, someone said, okay, we need to have it.
Then we should also scrap off that department that has been put to the Ministry of under the office of the Vice President. We should scrap it
because there is no one person called minister.
No, I'm not, because you're saying that because that department is just like it's emanating from the Ministry of Religious Affairs.
Look,
then we should do away with the department together, don't you?
No,
so?
We are not saying that. That's why we are saying that what we don't need.
Because us as Zambians, we don't even see the efficiency of that department.
What we don't need is a single human being sitting in parliament being called the Minister of Religious Affairs and doing nothing like it was. Okay? We had that person sitting in parliament but doing nothing. Even when people are being maimed, she could not stand up and speak like she was a Minister of Religious Affairs. So having a department at the office of the Vice President is worth it. Okay? It's worth it.
But others are saying we should just do away with it.
That's what you are saying.
Others are saying so because we've been doing interviews with people who are for the ministry and those who are against the ministry.
Okay.
So it has been a long conversation. Or maybe I reframe my question to be, could it be that the Ministry of Gender was also scrapped off because probably the Minister of Gender was not necessary at all?
Okay, we had the Minister of Gender. What is the gender balance in all places of work? Even here, I'm being interviewed by both men. But then we have had the Minister of Gender. So what was it doing?
Let's pick a call. Let's get back to it. Good morning.
Morning, thank you.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm Banda calling from Ukraine.
Mr. Banda, please go ahead and give us your contribution.
You know, I'm very disappointed with that honorable. You don't think it deserves to be called an honorable. Because the way that it matters, because maybe if you want to eat breakfast very snarl and yet he's forgetting that he's there so the honorable vote of the people. You see, why should you liken Christianity to whatever you are getting in your circles as GPA? You are in that channel, the Christian channel, and yet you're not portraying Christianity and you're not even promoting Christianity. You are not so.
We needed to finalize is where he was going with his perspective.
Yeah, and I had good answers for him.
We could do
I had good answers for him.
So before he chipped in, but if you can still call us. We could not pick what you wanted to wind up. Just call us.
And first, maybe let me just make a point while we are waiting for him to call back again. You know, I have been going to church from when I was born. Okay. I started following politics when I was young under UNIP. Yes. What I saw happening in Zambia at the time when we had the ministry is worse than maybe what I saw under Chiruwa, worse than what I saw under Manawasa, under Kaunda. You see? Let's not believe.
And better like what you are seeing under UPND?
I'm telling you now we are better. Okay, since UPND came into power, Tell me, how many times have you seen people being tear gassed for nothing? Or even when there is something. You saw villagers beating the police in Chadiza. I assume it was PF. How many people would have died there? How many people would have been shot?
We are seeing the mushrooming of junkies.
Where?
Everywhere.
Where?
Everywhere, even here in Kabulonga.
And those junkies, do you want to say...
And we are also seeing the Zambia being highly rated as a country that is consuming more alcohol amongst in the region, for example. And we are also seeing that on issues pertaining to same-sex marriages are being propagated, and we are seeing these issues.
Honorable,
so
do you think, would you, I want to ask you a question.
Ask me.
When we had that ministry, there were a lot of atrocities committed, as you have put it. Eh?
Yes.
We saw people being beaten in churches, you were haunted out of the church and stuff like that. Don't you think that we can now use that ministry to change those things, that
to unite
and show how best we can run the country with that particular ministry without beating people? I remember there were people that were beaten in Matero at a church gathering. I remember people, you said you were haunted out of the church and stuff like that.
We had Christians for long.
Yes. So don't you think that we can use this ministry to show how best you can use the ministry, other than having a ministry and all those bad things happen?
That's why we have started showing that Zambia, the country can be run in a better way without that ministry.
Okay.
Because so far there is not that ministry, but people are free, you know? People are free. In Zambia, even if you say junkies are coming back, it's just a matter of days. Those junkies will be rounded up. Because wherever there has been noise, then the government is there to make sure that those people are picked and the freedom comes back to its citizens. This is being done without the ministry. So we are doing it without, you know, and for that matter, me, I'm an independent. I speak my independent mind. Where government is not doing right, I'll tell you that here we are not doing right. It's only that most of the times people want us who are in leadership, whichever way, to condemn what government is doing. You see, now some of us will only condemn government based on a comparison with what we saw, where we are coming from. So the government is working hard to make sure that Zambia is a better place for everyone without a Ministry of Religious Affairs. And if it doesn't work out, probably that's when that thought would come and say, okay, let's try having a ministry. But without a ministry, already things are going on well and smooth. So that's where we sit to say, okay, like me, if I debated, I was just going to say I don't support the motion. Because so far, so good.
So you are among the 79? That voted against the motion?
Yes, I'm among the 79.
I always ask a personal question. Can I also ask you?
Ask me, yes, it's fine.
My personal question is that, would you be among those, for example, who would say, I want to go with President HH come 2026 and the UPND?
Look,
because you are happy with the way they are doing it.
Listen, there I want to give you a clear picture so that you don't ask me anything related to that. Okay? I'm serving under President HH. Okay? If HH goes for re-election in 2026 and I've got a chance to contest on the UPND ticket, I will do so. You understand my point?
What about the PF?
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
The way PF treated me, those who are in PF, they know what they did to me. I will share with you a video when I was being stoned. My vehicle was being stoned, even saying we are laughing. You see? And those are the people that I can support. No, I wouldn't support. I'm telling you the truth. Moreover, I'm not in politics for money, like I came here to make money. It's not like that with me.
You are serving the people.
Yes, I'm serving the people.
Let's get this call, Honorable, so that we hear what people want to contribute on the program. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. I'm the one who would line broadcast.
Oh, yes. You can now proceed so that we can hear what you wanted to communicate.
Yes, it's just like I was saying, it's a city is always contradicting himself, and I wonder how it's got an honorable. You can imagine today he's saying in Zambia things that are good, are okay, everything is always perfect. I think he's given the statistics on the number of BBC cases. Just bag of meal at between 250 and 300 quarter. He approved the budget in Bayern that was allocated in the 2023-2024 budget as far as the feasible for state. It is the same with what was allocated, if not a slight difference. And yet the numbers of the beneficiaries are the same. Meaning, what does that entail? People will still continue sharing fertilizer in the dam. As a result, the yield or the productivity will still want to go up. Even in terms of the floor price. Today the floor price is 280 quarter. Is it telling us that the floor price for 2024-2025 will be less than 200? And the maize being the main product in minimum. As a result, the price of minimum shall continue going up. What is the price of electricity? Today we're talking about minimum wage. Where do those farmers get the money to pay their workers? It is from the same minimum. So why are you trying to cheat the Zambian people? Just concede to say you have failed. No wonder why you are failing to accept the fact that if God is on the throne, God is the one who governs this country. There is nothing you as UPND that you shall do without God. And if you want to reduce this country to whatever level you want, you are mistaken. God shall hold you on the top.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming through. We really do appreciate. There are rising cases of GBV,
Yes.
and also, are you saying that the price of the floor price of maize will be less than 200 in order for the price of minimum to come down?
You know, I'm arguing with a person who is not seated next to me, so it's very difficult for him to understand. And as presenters, I think get this point. Some people here are arguing from the point of view, from the point of being patriotic something. I'm explaining from the point of being a patriotic Zambian. Okay? If I'm a patriotic Zambian, I will not come here and say government has failed and government is just sitting, is not doing anything. No, then I'm not being patriotic. Because I know that government is working to change things. This UPND New Dawn government has just been in power for 2 years, if I were to say so. Others were in power for 10 years. And these are the people who are making a lot of noise here. Okay? What is it that they did which someone can do in 2 years? They failed to do it in 10 years. The issue of people sharing fertilizer in Medas has been a trend. In 2018, in my constituency, I marked that date. It was on 23 March, when I was transporting fertilizer to the people, that is urea. Tell me, what size will be the maize on 23 March? It was in 2018. It happened. A lot of things happened. This, the good part why I'm still standing here strong, telling you that UPND is going to change things. Once government is voted, mostly they disappear, they don't talk. Even at that level, UPND from the day they were voted, they have been doing things that are visible. Others would start employing in 2024-2025 because they are going towards the election. UPND started employing in 2022. You see, a lot of changes. UPND started paying retirees in 2022. And take note, Zambians out there, I'm just one of you. I'm seeing things from being a patriotic Zambian, like I said. This country has had no money. We were in debt, big debts. People who speak better English here are saying this government is not doing nothing, this government is not doing anything. Have a little bit of mathematics in you. If it were you, I assume you were not in government then. But now, if you were in government, what is it that you would have done? After borrowing all those big chunks of money, nothing happened. Someone is working from a very tight budget. Before we borrowed, We saw teachers being employed. We saw retirees being paid. We saw CDF being given to all constituencies across. You know, before we borrow a lot of money, like, and what we knew even when we were coming into government was that Zambia has got no money. Someone has been doing things without borrowing big. Because if government has borrowed by now, maybe it's just 1 million. You see? But what is it that they have done? And what is it that cannot give you hope?
It's going to a tune of 6 billion.
It's going to a tune of 6 billion, huh? I don't know that it's going to that tune of 6 billion. Anyway.
Though the argument by the finance minister is that there are loans that are flexible under mostly the World Bank.
Look, let's save that one for another day. For now, let's concentrate on what we are talking about. Because I want to tell you why people should have hope in this government. You know, it's a government that started doing things before they borrowed. Okay? When Zambia was highly indebted, but they were able to pay, they were able to do this, 1.6 million was difficult to be given to all the constituencies. Few constituencies would get, others would get maybe the following year, others don't get. 25.7 million has been given across. Okay? As we are speaking today, we have got about 6 million each constituency, 156 constituencies. Okay? All those people that have been employed, they are on salaries, they are getting money. You understand my point? A lot of things are happening, and this is just in the space of 2 years. I always ask you as a radio presenter here or TV presenter, go back. What happened in the first 2 years of MMD, 91-92? Compare it to the first 2 years of UPND. The first 2 years of President Mwanawasa, compared to the first 2 years of UPND. The first 2 years of PF, compared to the first 2 years of UPND. You also need to have a better informed position, so that as you understand people calling and saying this and that, you should also have got something that you can present. Most of the things that we talk about, even those, some people are politicians, but they are hiding that they are not politicians. When they call, they will present they are not politicians, but they are speaking political minds. They see things from a very negative point of view. You see, those are people that anything good to them is negative. Who can say that Zambia is not achieving now? When we have seen a lot of achievements. We are sending pupils to school. Our presenter, you didn't tell me your name.
Patrick Soko.
Patrick Soko, Patrick. In my constituency, I'm sending 120 pupils paid for by government to secondary schools. Okay? I'm sending youths to skills trainings. Government is paying. What is the motive? The motive is that those youths who have got no education, like they are trained teachers, nurses, can still have got something to do. They are Zambians and they should benefit from the Zambian money. You know, they are being given knowledge there. When they go back, they find CDF is there. We give them money. They have got something to do. These are the youths who were not taken care of. Even those that you are telling me now that junkies are mushrooming, maybe sensitization is what they are lacking. If someone out there can go and sit down with them and sensitize them, they will find something to do, because government is paying. Whoever paid such monies to all these categories of people that I'm talking about, and then someone wants me to come here and say, nah, this government is not doing anything. No, this government, I'm seeing good things in this government. So I have to support it.
Honorable, as you wind up, I want you to just give us your categorical perspective. Is there hope for full economic recovery under the UPND, and what should people expect, just based on your analysis as a parliamentarian?
Yes, looking at where we're coming from, where we are not, I mean where we're coming from with UPND, I have got that hope, and I want to talk to my fellow Zambians that be hopeful that Zambia is going to be a better place. You know, the first thing that we have achieved is peace. Now we have got peace, we can do our businesses, we can do anything without all those wrangles. And also the fact that, you know, we have achieved the debt restructuring. It should be something that we should always talk about, because that's one thing that was really pushing us down. It's another door that has been opened that has given hope to everyone that Zambia now will be a better place. Even the issues of prices we are talking about, we understand the concerns. It's not like we are saying, no, there are no concerns, no, we are not like those who would say, go and urinate in the Kariba Dam, what and so forth. No, we have a lot of examples that we can give. Our understanding is that you are speaking, we know the concerns are there, and as government, those that are in the driving seat are always doing the best so that you can also have the best. So Zambia is on a very good, economic recovery path, which I know that one day people will be appreciative, just like it started with the late President Wanawasa. No, he's a cabbage. No, he cannot run a country. No, he has failed. No, because there was by then President Sata who was always on TV, and people just, Zambians like hearing negative things about their government. So whoever goes on TV on government and speaks negative about government will be darling to many people. You see, Mwanawasa did not lose his direction. At the time when everything was done, HIPIC was completed and things started happening, Mwanawasa became a hero. You see, I followed politics of Tanzania. The late President Magufuli came into power. He was called names. He was not a good president for Tanzania. He was what and so forth. The time that he put everything that he had in mind in place and things started happening, Tanzania started buying planes with their own money. Tanzania started doing this and that. Magufuli became a hero. And that's what I am seeing with HH. You see? That's the thing that I'm seeing with HH. I am one MP who is very patient with President HH because I can see that he's putting up things in order so that Zambia becomes a better place and not a bad place.
Interesting. There you have it. That was Honorable Emmanuel Banda explaining and giving hope to the people of Zambia that they should remain optimistic under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, that things will get better and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And interesting, those of you who managed to get through to the Camnet Breakfast Show, we do value your contribution to the program, and every opinion counts. Remember, we always say that this program is a confluence of opinions, because divergent views are part of what we call democracy, because democracy is about tolerating the views you do not like from someone you might not like. And this is where we have to call it a day. Myself, Patrick Soko, and my co-host Makokwa Kozi, and to make sure that you join us for the Lunchtime Cafe, where we get to bring you updates pertaining to emerging stories, forgotten stories, as well as the Nutrition Corner, among other segments. This is where we have to excuse the screen. Keep it on Camnet TV.